All right, we are up to week 5 now, and I just thought I'd go comfortable. I'm sitting in this lovely little rocking chair. It's not rocking very well where it is, but this rocking chair was built by my grandfather. This is my mother's father, and you'd listen to her talk, he could do anything. It really was a fairly remarkable fellow. But my grandfather built this chair. It eventually found its way into my parents' home. My older brother, a very careful fellow, he used it for a sawhorse one time, and there's a lovely little cut right here. You can't see it, but it's there, trust me. And so we always, like admire Dennis for his carefulness when we sit in this chair. Eventually, it landed in our home, where it spent many years, and then it ended up in my daughter's home, but then she didn't have enough room for it when she moved, and she gave it back to us. And I don't doubt that someday it's going to end up in somebody else's home, one of my grandchildren. But so far, it's been in the homes of 4 generations of my family. Now, I mention that because that whole generational thing, passing things down, is really what the patriarchal history is all about, and that's what we're looking at here in not chapter 5, but week 5. Okay, the patriarchal history takes us from Genesis 12 with Abraham, or Abram in that part of Genesis, all the way to the end of the book. Okay, and we have all these generations of really important people called, you guessed it, the patriarchs. Okay, we start, like I said, with Abraham, and actually we have the generation before him as well, that they don't get a whole lot of attention. But Abraham leaves his home. He winds up going to Canaan and establishes himself there. He has a nephew named Lot, who's a big deal. Things happen there that establish whole people, nations. Kind of a lurid story, really, there. But Abraham eventually, in his old age, he doesn't give birth. That would be a real miracle. But he fathers 2 sons. First, one by his wife's handmaid. This is Ishmael, who has 12 sons of his own, and they become a great people. But that's not the one that they focus on. We have Isaac, the child of Abraham's great old age. The miracle child. No way Sarah's going to have a baby when she is at this very advanced age. But she does. And so Isaac is born. We go through his story, and eventually he doesn't give birth either. He fathers 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. So we are up to, the 3rd generation now. Esau is the father of a great nation that ends up being the neighbors of the Israelites for many centuries, and kind of a thorn in their side. Jacob goes off, does all sorts of crazy things. Some of them pretty great. Some of them kind of a little shady. And eventually, though, Jacob, with 2 wives and then 2 handmaids of theirs, has 12 sons. And those 12 sons become the fathers of the 12 tribes of Israel. The most prominent of those is Joseph. And the story of Joseph is a huge chunk of the book of Genesis. And the whole book works its way toward the end, where Joseph has saved the world. He's interpreted Pharaoh's dreams. He has he became the number 2 in command of the whole nation. He oversaw food collection and storage so that people wouldn't starve during 7 years of drought. And at the end, he not only saves the world, he saves his own family, which I guess, if you're going to save the world, your family's part of it. That's kind of natural, but it's kind of remarkable too. He saves his family. He doesn't take revenge. He's such a great guy. And at the end of the book, toward the end of the book, Jacob, in his very old age, blesses each of his sons and sort of gives prophecies of what might become of them down the road. Some of those prophecies are kind of like, I don't know that I want that prophecy, and some of them are like, wow, that's amazing. And finally, we have Joseph going into the very close of the book and closing it off. Then, after the patriarchal history, we've got this long span of time, according to the narrative, before Exodus comes up, and we find that the circumstances have changed a great deal for the people from Joseph's time to the time of Moses. We're going to find out about that from one of our groups that will do a presentation for us on Moses. Somebody else will probably do Joseph. I haven't decided exactly which of these characters will be done. Moses will definitely do. But this is the Heroes of Hebrew History assignment. It's a big deal. It's going to cover a number of weeks of the semester. But right now, I would just say to you, look at the assignment, figure out what it is, find out who's on your team. Might be 2, 3 other people, might be just one other person. Make contact with him, start talking about it, start thinking about it, start gathering materials. That's what I would suggest, because we have possibly at least presentations being made on Abraham, on Jacob, on Joseph, then on Moses, David, Solomon. It depends on how many people are in the class as to how many groups we'll have. So I'm excited about that, because I always get to read and see really neat stuff, and you people take these assignments and go in a direction that I didn't exactly expect, and so I'm enthusiastic toward that. Let you teach for a while. I do all the work around here, right? Okay, that's all for me this time. I'm going to be quiet and I'll move on, okay?